Today's video is crowdfunded by you and sponsored by petflow.com. Today I'm going to take some questions from our supporters on patreon.com/ZachGeorge. For those of you that don't know, Patreon is our crowdfunding campaign. We have something like 270 contributors over there who contribute $2, $5, $10, $20 a month to help us do this production. You can see the link in the description if you want to be a part of that, if you want to help out. And I also am more likely to answer your question over there. In fact, when you contribute $10 or more per month, you'll get guaranteed replies from me to your questions. The dog training revolution is all about bringing this content directly to the general public, bypassing those traditional means and going straight to anyone with an internet connection that wants to learn ethical, science-based, positive dog training. That's what we're about. As you guys know, the dog training revolution has really benefited from PetFlow as a sponsor. These guys are amazing. They don't sell shock collars, they don't sell e-collars, and they don't sell prong collars. But what do they sell? They literally have hundreds of brands of dog food, including the hard to find organic brands. But what I wanted to talk to you very briefly about right now was their option to have dog food auto shipped to you. You can have it shipped directly to your house in any time increment you want, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, all the way on up to every 16 weeks. You can also edit this time period to your liking. I don't know about you, but I definitely have better things to do than drop what I'm doing, go to a specialty pet supply store to get the dog food that I want to get for my dogs. I'd rather have it shipped directly to my door. I don't want to have to haul 40-pound bags of dog food out of my car, up the stairs, and into my house. So it's a great option. The prices are fantastic. It makes your life easier. And with every purchase you make through petflow.com/ZachGeorge, you're contributing towards the dog training revolution success. It helps us reach more people, and the more people we can reach, the more change we can bring about. That's our goal. If you do the auto ship option, enter code ZACH20. That way you'll get 20% off of your first purchase. But if you don't feel like doing the auto ship option, just enter ZachGeorge15 when you check out as the code, and you'll get 15% off. But I'll have all that in the description below. It takes less than 5 minutes. By changing the way you buy dog food, you're changing the way people teach dogs. The first question today comes from Cynthia. Hi Zach, I've received conflicting messages from different trainers regarding eye contact between people and their dogs. One trainer said I should stop looking at my fearful rescue dog, Annie. Another said eye contact is important to a dog in a positive way and it will help build her confidence if she knows I'm paying attention to her. What's your opinion? Well, there's a lot here I need to talk about because eye contact is the very foundation of the way that I teach dogs. So, you know, obviously I think eye contact is very important, but you said a couple of things here that I want to, you know, kind of address because they raised a bit of a red flag. You said you had a fearful rescue dog. I'm guessing that you and your dog are pretty comfortable with one another. So I think encouraging eye contact from a dog that you know very well, as long as you're not seeing any obvious signs of distress or major discomfort, I think that's a good thing. You wouldn't want to go up to a dog that you didn't know for the rest of you and encourage strong eye contact without getting better acquainted. You said it will build her confidence if she knows you're paying attention to her. That may be the case, but that's not the primary reason we teach a dog to look at us. We teach a dog to look at us so that we can guide them. Remember, dogs are one of the only animals on planet Earth that look to a human being for guidance and direction. I think both dogs and people get a lot more out of eye contact than either of us really realize. There's a lot going on there. That's how I anticipate a dog's next move, almost exclusively eye contact, coupled with overall body language, of course, too. Bottom line, it's important to go at your own pace, make sure your dog is comfortable, keep it a positive experience, and don't ask for too much too soon. In my opinion, one of my most underviewed and most important videos is how to teach your dog to look at you. It's a fantastic video. It will show you the virtues of eye contact, and it's one of my favorites. I think it has like a 99 point something % like to dislike ratio. So those who watched it really seem to enjoy it. I'll put that in the description. Allison wanted me to quickly address a couple of misconceptions in dog training. For example, should you really make sure that you go through a doorway before your dog does? And let me give you a bit of background for those of you that don't know. See, there's a common myth in dog training that suggests that if you routinely allow your dog to go through the doorway ahead of you, well, this means they're trying to be dominant and trying to establish a leadership role in your life. Now, there's absolutely zero scientific evidence that this is the case, and I certainly in my experience in working with thousands of dogs, have never seen anything that would lead me to believe that. However, I do think it's a good idea to have your dog automatically sit when that door opens. There's another common myth out there. Again, this is also related to the dominance myth, that if you eat first, you're showing your dog, hey, I'm in charge, I'm the dominant one. There's no evidence to suggest that your dog will respect you less if they eat before you. I tend to feed my dogs before I eat because I just want them to be happy. I don't want to be thinking, gosh, I wonder if they're hungry while I sit there and eat my meal, but that's personal preference. Feed them whenever you want. Just make sure you feed them and get your food at petflow.com. I like this question. How did you discover positive training? I'm really lucky in this department because I know that when a lot of dog trainers get involved with dog training, they have all of these ideas thrown at them, all these different philosophies, and they just don't know who to trust, who to listen to, who's right, who's wrong, especially when you have so many conflicting ideas out there. Now, I've been a positive trainer from day one since I began dog training, and here's why. The very beginning of my dog training career, I was really into competing in the sport of dog frisbee, right? Many of you may or may not have seen this. If you haven't, I'm sure I've got videos on my channel somewhere showing off some of our fancy tricks and frisbee stuff. But what I learned early on, that if you want to be successful and win those competitions, you have to really teach your dog to do some pretty cool stuff. You can't make a dog leap off your back into the air to catch a frisbee. You can't do that with a choke chain. You can't do that with an e-collar. You can't throw 3 frisbees at one time and expect your dog to catch all of them without seriously motivating them to want to do that. So very early on in my career, I was able to get that point that I really have to make it worth my dog's while in order to get them to do what I want them to do. But the big difference between positive training versus traditional training is that with positive training, you're motivating your dog to want to do something. The emphasis is on the word yes. You're looking for things to reward. Right now, my dog Alpha Centauri is over here lying down. If he was a beginner in training, I would make that effort to go over there and say, I like that. And I would pet him very nicely and calmly to encourage calmness. Traditional training, say in the case of, the metal choke chain or prong collars, the emphasis there is on communicating to your dog when they're doing the wrong thing. So in the case of your dog pulling on the leash, protocol is to give them a pop with the prong or the choke chain, or even an e-collar if that's what you're using. As you know, I despise those things. They are the worst thing in dog training, and any professional out there promoting those is not a professional in my very strong opinion, because if you need to reduce your training approach to motivating a dog to learn by avoiding discomfort and pain, you are messed up. That is no way to communicate with a dog. So that's my very strong opinion. Is it scientifically sound? Sure it is. I mean, of course, if a dog is terrified of getting shocked, they're going to learn to behave, but there are much more ethical and better ways to approach that. So that's a big difference between positive training and traditional training. And remember, the aim of the dog training revolution is to show as many people as possible the most humane, ethical, and enjoyable ways to teach their dog. If you're an individual, a non-professional, and you're using these methods, I'm not mad at you. I'm here to help you, and I'm here to show you a better way. I am very hard on the professionals because they ought to know better. People taking money from the public, I would be so upset if I'm paying someone and they say, hey, put this on your dog and make sure you put them in pain every time they do something you don't like. What kind of advice is that? Next question comes from Jessica. Can a rescue dog get over his or her fear, and is it cruel to make them face them? My puppy seems to be really afraid of stairs, but I live in a city and there's lots of stairs at my friends' apartments, and there are many times when I have to take her in a car and she doesn't like the car either. Can she get over these fears, and is it mean to try and force her? It is not mean to teach your dog to not be afraid of something. Now, whenever we're dealing with issues of anxiety or fear, we have to be prepared to be extremely patient, because this isn't just sit and lie down with a basic lure and a reward. When you're really trying to address those types of feelings within your dog, you've got to be patient with them. So, you said you had a puppy. Now, I gotta tell you, I've met very few puppies that like stairs. Most puppies don't like stairs. So this sounds very normal to me. I wouldn't, in and of itself, fear of car rides or fear of stairs, I would not necessarily consider that a fearful dog, because those are both kind of unnatural things to a dog who's brand new to our world. Now, the big mistake that people make with this is they wait until they're in the situation when it's time to get in the car and go somewhere, and they take their dog with them, and you just throw them in the deep end and expect them to be okay with it and understand everything that's going on. Or in the case of stairs, you know, it's time to go down them, it's time to go up them, we got to do it, hurry up, we're on a time limit here. You've got to set up training sessions individualized to these things ahead of time, and you need to do them a few times. You got to go out of your way to do these things in order to really set your dog up for success. Just be very patient, go very slow, look for small bits of progress, and reward those heavily to communicate to your dog, I love that you're trying. This is from Mike. Here's one. How can I get my dog to distinguish between requests, for instance, between play dead and roll over? Often when I say play dead, he rolls all the way over, and also you have the same problem with sit and lie down. There is no way to teach a dog without going through this, because you know, sometimes in the beginning our dogs are just like, well, when I listen I get a reward, or if I do something I get a reward, but they don't necessarily understand that they need to do the specific thing that you're asking for. Many of you have dogs and you've taught them to sit, lie down, and roll over. You'll notice that they just go through the whole routine because they're like, ah, this is what we're gonna do. And this is really worthy of an entire video with an actual dog in it, and I'm sure we'll do that in the future, and I'm sure I have in the past. You know, there's tons of videos. Let's say, you know, you're past that real beginner phase. You feel like your dog kind of understands play dead, kind of understands roll over. Say they roll over when you say play dead. It's important to withhold that reward and not reward on roll over, except in moments where they may be frustrated, where they may be trying to brainstorm what it is you're asking from them. So there's that fine line that you as the person have to feel out. So is it that they're just blowing you off and saying, no, I don't feel like listening to you, I'm gonna do this and you should reward me for that? Or are they saying, I think I know this one, is this right? And in that case, you can give them a small reward just to keep them motivated, to keep them interested. Here's another one. Zach, in your opinion, how young can a person start training their puppy for leash work? As soon as you get them. You know, 8 to 10 weeks. That would be the youngest, I would say. There are very few things that you need to wait on with your dog, unless they're like really physically demanding on your dog or unsafe. You wouldn't want to teach a 10-week-old puppy how to jump off your back to catch a Frisbee, for example. You want to be very conservative with those types of things. But you ought to start, you know, introducing as many concepts as you can early on, as long as you're prepared to be patient. Keep your expectations realistic, but I say immediately. Chances are when you have a puppy and you put a leash on them, they're gonna start bucking up and biting at the leash and being like, what is this thing? Holy cow, you're pulling me, what's going on? So your job there is to be very understanding and encourage them to just walk around the room with a leash on, to just be comfortable with it, and really give them a lot of support and encouragement. Keep it low key, keep it interesting. If you guys enjoyed the video, click thumbs up. Tell me what you want help with in the comments below, or what questions you might have. I might answer them. For a guaranteed answer to your question, go contribute to my Patreon crowdfunding campaign at patreon.com/ZachGeorge. You can contribute what you think our show is worth. I've got some great videos lined up coming up, but I wanted to make sure that I got this out there to at least touch base with my Patreon supporters, because they have a lot of the same questions I know a lot of you have as well. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to support petflow.com/ZachGeorge by taking 5 minutes to change the way you buy dog food. You're helping to change the way people teach dogs and raise the standards in dog training. Petflow.com/ZachGeorge. Enter code ZACH20 when you sign up for auto shipping. You'll get 20% off of your first purchase. If you don't want to sign up for auto shipping and you just want to get a bag of dog food or some toys, supplies, whatever, enter code ZachGeorge15 and you'll get 15% off of your first purchase. Okay guys, I really enjoyed making the video and I can't wait to see you in the next one. We have lots of fun videos planned.